So, social media. We hear all the time how essential it is, right? But for a lot of us, it just feels like this loud, crowded party where you don't know anyone. What if you could find your perfect spot in that room? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut right through all that noise and make it simple.
All right, before we get to the solution, let's just admit it. It's a lot. Social media overload is a real thing. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to this or you've been trying to grow for a while. The number of choices out there can feel less like an opportunity and more like you're just stuck in a giant maze.
And it's not just about the platforms themselves, is it? It's the language. You're just constantly bombarded with all these words like, share, tweet, pin, friend, follow. Ugh. Each one is pulling you in a different direction, and honestly, it's easy to feel totally lost before you've even posted a single thing. And then, of course, you've got the big ones. The giants everyone knows, right? Facebook, kind of like the digital town square, and Twitter, which is basically the world's fastest headline ticker. These are usually the first places we all think of. But wait, there's more. You've also got these visual powerhouses. And look, Instagram and Pinterest aren't just more choices to add to the pile. They are completely different worlds. Seriously. Each one has its own vibe, its own unwritten rules, and a totally unique way of communicating. So if you're sitting there feeling all of this, you are not alone. It's a totally normal way to feel. It can be honestly genuinely daunting just trying to figure out where on earth to begin. In fact, that feeling of being overwhelmed, that's where most people start.
So, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all this stuff flying around, how do you actually pick the right place to share your story and connect with your people? Well, let's clear all that up right now with a really simple but really powerful idea.
Okay, to cut through all that confusion, we're going to use a simple analogy. And trust me, it's a surprisingly awesome way to really get the unique personality of each of these big platforms. And the key to unlocking what makes each of these networks tick is something I think pretty much all of us understand: a simple cup of coffee. Okay, check this out. Let's just pretend our topic for the day is coffee. How would you talk about coffee on each platform? Well, on Facebook, it's pretty straightforward. You just say, I like coffee. Simple, right? But on Twitter, it's all about what's happening now. So you'd say, I am drinking #coffee. Then you've got LinkedIn, the professional network. There it's all about skills. So you might say, I'm good at drinking coffee. See how the same topic completely changes? It's the same for the visual platforms. Over on Pinterest, it's like a big scrapbook of ideas. You'd share, here's a collection of coffee recipes. But Instagram, that's all about a curated moment. It's more like, here's a cool vintage picture of me drinking coffee. It's the same subject, but each platform gives it a totally different vibe. So once you start thinking about those personalities, you begin to see a pattern. The platforms kind of fall into one of two main camps, and this really helps you choose based on what you actually want to do. Are you all about capturing what's happening right now, in the moment, or are you more interested in building a lasting collection of ideas? So on one side, you've got your in-the-moment platforms. Think of things like Twitter. They're all about quick thoughts, breaking news, what's happening right now. But on the other side, you have the curated collections, platforms like Pinterest. This is more like your digital scrapbook or pinboard, a place to collect ideas and build beautiful boards around your interests over time. And then you've got to think about just sheer size. I mean, look at Facebook. With over 1.3 billion users, that's just a mind-boggling number. It's basically the king of social networks. Think of it like the biggest city on Earth. The odds are pretty good that whoever you're trying to reach is already there. And this is so important. A platform's audience is its culture. For example, take a look at Instagram. A whopping 90% of its users are under the age of 35. That's huge. And that creates a very specific culture, one that really values aesthetics, speed, and what's visually trending. Knowing who's there is absolutely crucial because it tells you if your story is going to fit in. And hey, don't let the idea of creating all this visual content scare you off. It's actually way simpler than you might think. On a platform like Instagram, it's literally just 4 quick steps. You open the app, you choose your photo, you pick a filter to make it pop, and you share it. That's it. The whole system is designed to make it super easy for anyone to create something that looks great. Okay, so let's say you've picked your platform. Awesome. Now what? Well, no matter where you decide to hang out online, there are 3 golden rules that are going to help you out big time. Think of these as the universal do's and don'ts for social media. Rule number 1 is, without a doubt, the most important one. You've got to join the conversation. Social media is not a billboard. You can't just stand there and shout your message into the void. It's a two-way street. It's a dialogue.
That means responding when people comment, asking questions to get people talking, and using those hashtags to find and jump into bigger conversations. And here's a perfect example of what I mean. Jimmy Fallon isn't just blasting out a message here. He's actually creating a little community event. By asking his followers to share pictures of their costumes with a specific hashtag, he turns his timeline into a real conversation. And that is the huge difference between just posting something and actually engaging with people.
All right, on to rule number 2, and this one is all about hashtags. The best way to think about them is like a giant filing system for the internet. When you use them right, they're amazing. They connect your post to a whole community or topic. But there's a right way to do it and a very, very wrong way.
And the wrong way looks a little something like this. You've seen it. Hashtag don't, hashtag use, a hashtag for every single word. I mean, come on, it's impossible to read and it just looks like spam. The real goal here is to be surgical. You just need to pick 1, 2, maybe 3 super relevant hashtags that plug your post into the right conversation. And finally, we have rule number 3. And this one is maybe the simplest, but also the most important rule of them all. Before you hit that post or send button, just ask yourself one simple question. Would I say this to someone's face, out loud, in public? If the answer is no, just don't post it. Seriously, that one little check can save you from a world of headaches. So we've talked about the different platforms, we've gone over the rules, but you know what? None of that really matters without the single most important piece of this whole puzzle, and that's you and the story that you want to tell. I love this image because it illustrates something so fundamental. You look at this desk. It's got a Rolodex, a telephone, some sticky notes. These were the original social networks. The technology has changed. I mean, it's completely different now. But that core human need to connect with each other, to share things, and to tell our stories, that hasn't changed one bit. So at the end of the day, picking a social media platform isn't really a tech decision. It's a storytelling decision. It's all about finding the right tool to share your unique point of view, your passion, or your work with the rest of the world, which really just leaves us with one last thing to think about. What story do you want to tell?